What's up, self-healers? Lisa Lightfeather here. Welcome to my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Today, I want to speak about the topic of narcissism and sickness, actual physical illness. So, for those of you who are not aware, on this channel, I speak about 3D things that happen in this 3D world, DSM-5 type of energy, versus things that happen in the spiritual world when it comes to the dynamic of the narcissistic empath dynamic, right? And so I bring the physical world and the spiritual world together to better explain what's happening, right? So when dealing with the narcissist, right, I've dealt with them in both the physical realm and I've dealt with them in the spiritual realm. So I've seen them with both perspectives, right? My calling is in shamanism. In shamanism, in a nutshell, we travel between the different dimensions, so we can travel to the underworld, the middle world, and the upper worlds. Now, this is in the spirit realm, right? So shamanism is a way that you can see one in the spirit realm. Okay, so everybody's not going to get this, and that's okay. But for those of you who don't get it, maybe there can be something that you can get from the conversation and then go do your research on it later or something. So in the physical realm, I'm not going to say all narcissists because I don't know all narcissists, but I'm going to go by the ones that I have come into contact with. A lot of them are physically sick, like physically sick, like something is going on within the body that's almost like it's decaying. Yeah. And so because some of these narcissists are so grandiose, or they're just so oblivious to who they are and what's going on with them outside of their physical appearance, that they don't necessarily go to the doctor for these issues. They'll go if it's just completely and totally, they can't function. So then they'll go to the doctor. They might get a diagnosis, but they don't really do anything to fix the issue, right? Because they're so grandiose, the concept of them transitioning to the next realm because they are not taking care of some illness just doesn't occur to them. So they kind of detach from the fact that they're sick. Yeah. And so a lot of these illnesses have to do with the bowels, with the vital organs in the body. A lot of female narcissists will have to have surgeries where they have their uterus removed, and I'm not saying this is for everybody. I know that everyday people have this, but they'll have all these issues with their reproductive system because their primary source of energy, the easiest way for a female narcissist to get energy is through sex. And so they can get the men really quick and then suck their energies through their life force. And so they're constantly having different men deposit their life force within their sacred space, which causes the sacred space to malfunction. Now, the reason that is because men, I'm still speaking from the spirit eye, men carry their traumas, their anger, their sadness, their depression, their fears, their codependency, their whatever it is, their fear of abandonment. They carry all that in their semen. When a man is at a high stress level or he's feeling some type of way, the first thing he does is he looks for, this is an unconscious man, not all men, he looks for somewhere to deposit his life force. Instead of taking his life force and pulling it back up and trying to heal himself, he's an unconscious being, so he wants to release his own life force. But the problem is that life force is toxic. And so the female narcissist will take this on because they don't care where they get their feed from, as long as they're feeding. And then she will ultimately end up with some type of uterine issue. A lot of times they have to have hysterectomies and stuff like that because they have horrible fibroids. They're constantly bleeding. They have horrible PMS. They have horrible menopause systems. They suffer, right? Because their body is sick. Okay? So the narcissist has these bodily sicknesses, right? Now, in the spirit realm, when one goes into shamanism, they can see the body in the spirit realm. They see the body and the spirit. The narcissist literally looks like a dying corpse. Like their skin is grayish, bluish gray. It's like, and then they may have like ulcers on the skin. And this is seeing it from the spirit side now. And so they literally look like a dying corpse. And they also have a smell, a certain smell about them that's pretty bad, right? So in the physical realm, they can also have a smell about them, because literally there's something inside of them that's rotting. There's something inside of them that hasn't been taken care of, right? They might have some kind of bowel issues where they might have a hernia of some sort, and feces is not producing the right way. It's going into other parts of the body and it's rotten. I have smelled them literally smell like a sewage. Now, going back to the spirit eye, when you see them in the spirit realm, when you're working with shamanism, there's something that's referred to as purging. That when you're working with someone who is in the process of healing, and they're in their process of healing, they do something called purging, which is basically they're throwing up. Right? But what they're doing is they're throwing up toxins, they're throwing up fears, anxiety, depressions. This is for the healthy person who goes into this shamanic work and decides to do this with plant medicine. And so they purge, which is normally a really good thing. And if one doesn't purge, that doesn't mean that they're a narcissist. But what I've learned is that narcissists do not purge, but they are so toxic, and their body is so infested. Their spirit is so disease-ridden, right? Now, on the outside, they can be beautiful. They dress nice. They smell good. Everything about them is just like, whoa, that's a nice-looking person. But in the spirit realm, it looks like a dying corpse. They refuse to purge. And so I've been in situations where it gets so heavy and so sickening, right? Because they're just rot. It's just their spirit is just rotten, that I have to purge for them in order to bring down the energy within the room. Now, like I said, everybody's not going to get this, but I have to be the one to purge for them. So because the narcissists won't purge, they hold on to that rottenness. They hold on to that spiritual sickness. The only time that a narcissist comes for healing, when it comes to shamanism, is they're coming there to prove something. To prove something. They're coming there to try to feed on the person who's performing the healing ceremony. They're coming there to try to feed on their energy. Because in their mind, they think that they can come up on the person that is holding space for them in their healing. It's kind of funny, but that's what they do. They're not really coming there to heal. Now, the only way they'll come there to heal is if they have had a complete narcissistic collapse, and I'll speak about that in the next video, where everything is falling apart and now they're just floundering like a fish out of water, because they've completely lost control. And they may come during that time. But seeing a narcissist in the spirit realm, it's quite nauseating. It's like, once you've seen it, every time you realize you're around a narcissist, it's like they're carrying, like they have a dead corpse around their waist, and they're walking around with it, dragging it. And they won't release it, no matter how bad it smells, no matter how decayed it is, no matter how many maggots are in it. They don't release it. And so they're just carrying this thing around. Now, in the 3D realm, in this realm, you look at them and they have to be charismatic. They have to be charming, because otherwise, how are they going to manipulate you? But even in the physical realm, you can smell a narcissist. They have it's a spiritual smell but it's just nasty. Like I've smelled them that they've smelled like literally like sewage. And I've never been around a female narcissist to smell her odor, but I've heard men speak about how pungent they are in private areas. So the narcissist is constantly struggling with some type of body issue and physical illness. And like I said, they don't have the capacity to realize that some of these illnesses that they have could actually unalive them, because they're too grandiose in their thinking to think that could happen to them. That happens to everybody else. That doesn't happen to them. Now, what are some of the things that can happen to someone who's in a relationship with a narcissist? Let's say an unhealed empath that's in a relationship with a narcissist, or with their mother, with their brothers or sisters, with their mates later on, or even their teachers. I have two sisters that were in my household. My mother was a malignant narcissist, which is a combination of antisocial personality disorder, which is a new word for psychotic, and narcissism. So she was basically a psychopath, a psychotic narcissist, or a psychopath narcissist, which they refer to as malignant narcissists. And so we suffer tremendously. My big sister could never stop throwing up. She'd throw it up every time she drank or ate anything. She would throw it up. We had rashes all over our bodies all the time because the skin was reacting from the high cortisol. We had rashes all over our bodies. My little sister was always sick. We were always sick being under a narcissistic mother. And then going to school to a teacher who doesn't care for you because you are the empath or the chosen child or whatever, because whenever you're in that position, every place you go, there's someone who's against you. You just get nauseated even going into the school. Get nauseated getting on the bus. Get headaches. That's as a child. Now, as you grow and you end up in a relationship with someone, now you're in this relationship with a narcissist, right? And how one can be physically ill when being in a relationship with a narcissist, especially a long-term relationship. Short-term, you may get things like UTIs, vaginal BV, bacterial vaginosis. You may get yeast infections and things of that. Your body is literally rejecting the narcissist because the body knows. The body knows. The spirit knows before the physical body knows. And so it will act out in that way. With men, if you're with the female narcissist in that way at the beginning, you may, instead of feeling like you have life in you after being intimate with her, you may feel very drained, very tired. You may feel you may get like depressed or anxiety, like not the normal feeling you would get when you've had a connection with someone who is healthy, right? Now, the narcissist ensures that they are great in that area, right? Because they know that's a great control tactic. And so you may continue to go back and ignore the signs of your body. Now, in the spirit realm, your dreams will tell you who this person is. If the body hasn't caught up to the spirit yet, your dreams will tell you who this person is. That's why, as empaths, it's important that you pay attention to your dreams. Empaths who use a lot of, this is a bit off subject, but empaths who smoke a lot of marijuana, they don't have dreams because it kind of blocks the third eye. If you speak to someone who smoked, I don't know what they call it these days, but anyways, marijuana for a really long time, and then they stop, they'll tell you that their dreams are very vivid and very colorful because now the third eye has space to open up, right? So your dreams will tell you who your enemies are before you know it. Right? Whole nother video. But your dreams, as a chosen empath, as a healed empath, an empath period, your dreams will tell you who your enemies are. So some of the things that you may get by being in a relationship with an empath, with a narcissist, is you might get migraine headaches. You could get irritable bowel syndrome, where you can get ulcers. You can get a lot of digestive issues. Like I said, women can get a lot of reproductive issues, fibroid cysts, heavy bleeding, things of that sort. And so you literally get physically ill. Your body can break out in rashes because the cortisol is so high, right? And if you've been in a relationship long enough to get sick with the narcissist, that means you're having some type of cognitive dissonance where you're not really registering what's happening. And so you may get like a lot of, you may be in fight or flight all the time because you don't trust your instincts. And plus you're probably being gaslit. So a lot of mental health issues can come from this. Yeah? Anxiety, depression. The narcissist carries a lot of illnesses in their body because they are constantly wearing a mask 24/7. Can you imagine being something you're not 24 hours a day? How exhausting that is. But they have to do it. It's what they've come back to do. They don't acknowledge when they're they don't acknowledge when they're sick. The doctor may say, "Hey, you have polyps on your lungs." Now, any normal person, that would be like, oh my God, you'd be terrified. But the narcissist will continue to smoke, thinking that the doctor doesn't know better than them and that they know better than the doctor knows, or something of that sort. It's this grandiose way of thinking. So if you've been with the narcissist, right, for a long period of time, and your body is responding in a certain way, it's not in your imagination. You can literally get physically sick from being with the narcissist. 9 out of 10 that I've known have been physically sick in some way themselves, and they transfer that rotten spiritual energy. Now, in the physical body, they're physically sick with something going on with their body. A lot of female narcissists' reproductive system. Men, it's in the bowels, the vital organs in some way. And so they are physically sick. And because I work with my calling is in, I can see them in the spirit eye, and they are spiritually sick. And in the spirit realm, you do not want to see it. It is nauseating. It is like being in the room with a corpse, a rotting corpse. So physically and spiritually, they are literally rotten. And I'm only sharing with you what I've experienced, right? I'm only sharing with you what I experienced. That's all I can do. That's what I'm here for, to share my journey, to share it with you so that you can see it before it gets to you. Or if you're in it, now you have some type of thing, something that you can launch research on and figure out your own situation, right? It's time for the healed empath to rise. Enough is enough, yeah? The narcissist has ran rampant through the empath's lives, and they will continue to do so until we see them. The only thing you need to do to prevent from being with the narcissist is being able to see them. And that's what I'm here for, yeah? I'm here to close the gap between the illusion and the vision. Thank you for tuning into my channel, Closing the Gap. We make a conscious effort to meet you where you're at on your healing and your spiritual journey. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Someone liked the video for you, so it ended up in your algorithm. So please like it for someone else who may need it. And if you're really feeling my vibe, don't forget to hit the bell notification so that you know the next time that I upload. We'll see you next time here on Closing the Gap.